6'2" guard from Toronto, Ontario, Rowan Scott Smith. Let's give a big round of applause for Coach Dave as well for doing the intro. So we're going to take a little 10-minute break, let the guys warm up again, and then we'll be back for some OSBA action. Orangeville Prep National, Orangeville Prep Provincial. Right to it, or? Yeah, okay, good. 40 seconds to catch my breath. We're doing game intros, guys, so back to the bench. Well, fans, welcome to the Athlete Institute for an OSBA regular season matchup featuring Orangeville Prep National versus the Orangeville Provincial squad. And now, Orangeville fans, the starting lineup for your Orangeville Prep National Bears. A 6'5" guard from Kingston, Ontario, Oliver. A 6'10" forward from Calgary, Alberta, J.C. Brooks. A 6'7" forward from Plano, Texas, Caden Stuckey. A 6'4" guard from Hong Kong, China, Duncan Muka. And a 6'5" guard from Markham, Ontario, Arjun Bardwaj. Your head coach, Dave Carroll. And now Bears fans, the starting lineup for your Orangeville Prep Provincial Bears. A 6'6" guard from Mississauga, Ontario, Ilan Balde. A 6-foot forward from Montreal, Quebec, Tristan Lewis. A 7-foot center from Brampton, Ontario, TJ St. Louis. A 5'10" point guard from Brampton, Ontario, Joel Campbell. And a 5'10" guard from Hamilton, Ontario, Cassidy Garrett. Your provincial head coach, John Sidor. Well, check 1, 2. Welcome to the Athlete Institute in Mono, Ontario. I'm Chris McKee doing the play-by-play. I'm doing double duty tonight. That was me doing the in-game announcement. So usually you hear me doing little intros, but alas, we don't. So out there starting tonight, senior night for Orangeville, Oliver Engen, J.C. Brooks, Caden Stuckey, Duncan Muka, and Arjun Bardwaj for the provincial squad in white tonight. So I should have said that. National squad in black jerseys. Provincial boys in white. You got Ilan Balde, Tristan Lewis, TJ St. Louis, Joel Campbell, and Cassidy Garrick. I'm Chris McKee. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's get to it. So hopefully all is working well with the stream. It looks pretty good tonight. Provincial squad. Lewis, spin move, turn around. No good. Rebound, J.C. Brooks. Well, J.C., ball in his hand, leaves it for Arjun. Arjun on senior night, getting that start into J.C. J.C.'s quickly developing into being perhaps my favorite player in the OSBA. Love this dude's game. So damn good. Caden Stuckey. Shot clock at 4-3. And announcer's jinx. I just pump up J.C.'s tires and he starts off with an air ball. Ain't that the way? 9:27 to go. As usual, if you are out there, any issues with sound, drop me a line on Twitter at Mr. McKee. Any issues with the stream, or on don't hit my personal Instagram because I don't check that during the game, or my Instagram at undrafted_FA. Provincial boys in white. Lewis kicks out to St. Louis. Garrick, good ball movement, and in the corner, short. Oh, we've got these silver numbers where I can't tell who the heck's who. That's Woodward out there as well. So Demetrius Woodward. I think Balde, well, he got into a scuffle in the previous. I can't see over on the bench if he's there, so they might have benched Ilan after he got into it. And so that could be the case. And so Stuckey at the line shooting free throws. When they wear these white jerseys with the silver, it's frustrating because I can't see whose number's what. And Stuckey, 2 for 2, starts things off, the lefty. So we saw Caden's dad here, and you're like, where does this dude get the size from? Well, he's old man's. He's a big dude. He's a lot bigger than Caden. So, you know, usually they say get it from his mom. You get it from his pops there. We're doing the senior night with the flowers and some of the parents coming up. Lewis. And look at the handle. And as the shot clock expires, no good. Muka, we'll see, joined Orangeville a little later in the season. Nothing Orangeville. I'm texting over the scores table because there's someone out there that is not on the rosters again. So, give me 2 seconds. So turnover. So this one, we did this game a couple of weeks ago, and the national squad had about a 40-point lead at half. So Orangeville Provincial squad up against it. Oh, that's Joel Campbell out there. Sorry. Because he was playing the game before, he had a different number on. Engen, senior night finger roll doesn't go. Now the good news is I'm going to get to call. I think we got some other games Tuesday night, and then the playoffs the following Monday. So not the last home games, and of course we picked a snowy. And that shot off. Orangeville still yet to get off the snide. 5-0 national squad, 7:10 to go, opening quarter. Muka. Shot clock at 5, 4, 3. Engen. And no good. Stuckey. And Stuckey had about 3 cracks at it. Couldn't get it to go either way. 5-0 national team. 6:48 to go. And looks like Caden's going to get back to the line. Oh, there's Elon Balde. Okay. He is out there coming into the game. He was listed as one of the starters, but didn't actually start, and now back in. Stuckey gets the roll. And Caden was at Ridley before, also played some high school ball in Springfield, Missouri. Invited to the U19 Team Canada camp last summer. And pushes the lead to 7-0. 6:48 to go. Let's see, we got substitutions. Tristan Lewis back in for Garrick. Came a little early. They're not allowing the substitution for some reason, but alas, here we go. You have to wait till the next stoppage. It's 6 Campbell, yeah. Corner 3, Garrick. Bingo! Cassidy Garrick gets the Provincial squad off the snide with a big 3. Engen. And TJ St. Louis, the big man, tips that away. Well, I got the chance to meet Oliver Engen's mom before the game. We were chatting up in the Bear Cub Lounge. They had some food laid out for all the parents and families. And it's always nice to meet the parents. Appreciate it, know who's tuned in. Obviously, them being at Kingston, tuned into the live streams a lot. And nice to know they're here in person tonight. So awesome to see. 5:48 to go, opening quarter. Lewis 3, shot clock at 2-1. Garrick's got to recognize, and it's just swallowed up. Caden Stuckey on defense, huge, 7-3. So you got Garrick going about 5'11", going in amongst the big boys. Might want to think twice sometimes on that. Engen. Ollie. And then his signature move just glides through everyone with a little pump fake and lays it in, Ollie Engen. Balde. And Elan goes down hard, and it looks like Muka is going to get called with that foul. Oh, Elan to the free throw line. 5:07 to go, opening quarter. You know, when it has that senior night, the boys come out and warm up, and then there's that whole, 15 minutes or so where we're doing all the introductions and that, and sometimes it throws the guys off their rhythm. They gave them another 5 minutes to kind of warm up, but you often see that in games like this where there is some sort of celebration or ceremony, and then they get playing again. The pros got to figure that out. They're used to it. Guys in the NHL and NBA where there's always some kind of ring celebration or presentation almost every game. Those guys kind of get used to it. These kids still got to work on that. Muka. Too much. Rebound St. Louis. It's Campbell showing his handle. And stolen by Brooks. JC pushes ahead to Engen, and the follow, Caden Stuckey, 11-5. Balde. So if Provincial squad's going to have any look at this, they're going to have to hit threes. Or they got to get TJ St. Louis involved, the big man. Short, no good. JC Brooks rebounds. And they're going to call, I thought he had his foot pivoted. So Brooks letting Muka know, hey, he wanted to pass. Yeah, Muka wasn't ready for it. I'm all right with that with JC. As long as it doesn't cross a line, but there's nothing wrong with holding your teammates accountable. David Bottomley out there for the first time tonight. See him with those cardinal red or maybe fuchsia sneakers. Bardwaj. And a floater over top, and no good. Comes Balde. And stolen, Bardwaj. Brooks, left hand, and the follow, Arjun Bardwaj. Well, that's Roman Henry. There we go. We're in 33 tonight. He switched up. He had 15 on last time. And did they not get it over in time? (13-5), 2:43 to go. Obviously, the weather playing a little havoc. That's Onari Hall, excuse me, is 33. There we go. Because I was doing all the pregame, there's a bunch of other kids they've added from the junior team. And I didn't get to check because I was up here doing the presentation. So Onari Hall, number 33. And a blocking call against the national team. If you're just tuning in, Orangeville National in the black jerseys. Provincial squad in the white. National team leads 13-5. This is an OSBA regular season game. Two of them played each other a couple of weeks ago, and then just miscommunication. Jordan Langley Thomas just came off the bench, and he wasn't ready for it. Bottomley. Muka attacks and it rolls. Duncan Muka almost slipped on the mat, but all right. Hall. Langley Thomas. Way off. And then threw that off his teammate. Doug Cameron out there as well, number 12. Is it? I don't know. I can't name these numbers. Oh, sorry. It's Kingston Clark, 22. I literally cannot read the numbers on these white jerseys. I'm sure you guys can see on the screen. And again, it's so much change, especially since Christmas. It's been a challenge to keep track of who's who. Langley Thomas, runner. Bottomley pulls up. Oh, Brooks rebounds. Rowan Scott Smith just into the game. Bardwaj. Nope. Hall. And stolen by Scott Smith, but he fell down. He was out of bounds. 57 seconds left, 15-5. Well done. Well, time on the floor. Just texting over to Stacy at the scores table. She can get me a roster for Team White, because a couple of the juniors getting into this game that usually not used to. Just checking on who am I missing. That's Demetrius Woodward in 8. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Christian Case. There we go. That's who I don't know. 4. Again, I was up here last week doing a provincial, and they changed a bunch of the numbers and players. It's always a work in progress. Bottomley from 3, no good. Well, Bottomley, of course, started out the first half of the season on the provincial squad, was the leading scorer in the OSBA before making the move over to the national team, and obviously not going to get the same amount of shots on that squad, but I still believe with OSBA playoffs coming up, David Bottomley could be the wild card. I won't say trump card because I don't want to offend anyone politically. So perhaps the wild card, yeah. And up and under, Rowan Scott-Smith. There's a Carson Hale out there for the first time for the national team, short from Scott-Smith. Onari Hall. Shot clock, or game clock at 5, 4, 3. Hall over top a couple defenders. Onari Hall, and that'll do it. So at the end of one, Orangeville National leads 15-7. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm Chris McKee. I always have to explain whenever I do the live streams, it's not like on TV where we have pregame meetings with the coaches, go over everything. I've got 3 producers in my ear, monitors, none of it. And also, you know, when you're calling like college basketball or the NBA, you know who the dudes are. There's no switching of numbers and rosters and, oh, we're bringing this guy from the junior squad. It's like, no, well, unless they're bringing a G League guy. But usually you know that guy is because he's probably a 2-time All-American at Kansas. And he's playing in the G League because he's a rookie. And so it's a little bit easier. Especially the provincial team, there's been so much movement. I doubt they've fielded the same roster for 2 consecutive games all season long. Certainly in the games I've called, never. I mentioned during the first game, the 3-hour drive for me up here tonight in the snow. Got here about 15 seconds before tip-off, so a little disheveled. And back to it here in this second game. But normally I always stop and get a coffee. Couldn't get a coffee because it's good for my voice. Just even calling, didn't get that opportunity. Go back to it. Number 25, Owen Campbell. It's another one of the new guys I've yet to get a look at out there for Provincial. Langley Thomas on the inbound. Roman Henry out there now, number 15. So I had Roman up in the booth with me a couple weeks ago, helped me call a game. Rowan Scott-Smith. Carson Hale. Evan Wooters also out there. Yana Felly. You know, Yan just getting in the second quarter. It's almost like I wouldn't say a rest day. Load management day, that's the phrase I was looking for. Tipped away by Wooters. Langley Thomas, good pump fake. Bang, Jordan Langley Thomas. So Provincial squad creeping back in. 15-10, 9 minutes to go, second quarter. Now you can get a sense of the temperature in the gym, starting to vibe out. Both teams are woken up. Here we go, ball game on. And a travel on Bottomley, good call. I'm with it. So coming up at halftime, we didn't get to do the EYBL squad senior night. So there's 3 of the boys, Ja Duval, Johan Munch, and Josh Oluwashula. Langley Thomas, no good. And then Alex Peacock out there as well. Turnaround doesn't go. Peacock. Wooters off. And Bottomley, miscommunication. And then Provincial just gives it right back. Hale. So even Peacock changed numbers, but able to recognize still. Campbell. There's Christian Case out there, number 4. And that's Alex Peacock, first bucket of the game. 15-12. I was looking down on my sheet there for a second. I believe that was Peacock. 7:23 to go. Ball game on, 3-point game. Provincial squad has chipped away at that lead. Afeli. Yan pulls up. No good. Rebound Case. Henry. Pulls up from the free throw line. No good. Bottomly up to Scott Smith. Rowan Scott Smith, lovely. Had the defender all over him and used his body to shield, and it dropped. Pushed out. So, a quick break, more substitutions. And tipped out, still going to be national ball in the black. I do love these jerseys though, the black ones are pretty sweet. Haven't seen them before, a little new age. Almost looks like something University of Oregon would roll out. Oh, corner 3, Carson Hale. 2012 national team, 6:26 to go. So just when the provincial squad was chipping away at it, national says not so much. Case, Campbell, and Wooters rips that away. Oh, Rowan Scott Smith, lovely. Little fake pass to Afeli, and then just blew by everyone. Rowan Scott Smith, 22-12, 10-point lead for Team Black. Peacock, no good. TJ St. Louis out there, so provincial squad, some big boys. Yanafeli, speaking of big boys, two-handed dunk. Ooh, 24-12. Campbell. And to the other Campbell, Owen Campbell. 3, first shot of the night, I think drops. The first 3 of the night anyways. 24-15, 5:10 to go, second quarter. Scott Smith spin. And off the glass, Rowan Scott Smith heating up tonight. He's having one. 26-15. TJ. Well, TJ was just playing in the game before this. He didn't get a lot of minutes, I think, because they obviously were holding him for this game, but he did get in with the EYBL squad for the last couple minutes. Wooters. Short. Afeli. Got to think Yanafeli is going to be an OSBA All-Star. And Rowan Scott Smith having an all-star night. He's on fire. 28-15, 4:05 to go, opening half. And again, coming up at halftime, I'm not going to get my usual washroom break. I'm going to have to do the senior night. And Campbell, floater, TJ St. Louis cleans it up. 28-17, 11-point lead national. And Rowan Scott Smith, pump fake, up and under, and it goes. Wow. Oh. 30, oh, and a travel, so it's 30-17, 3:35. Balde and Garrick back in for Provincial. Zach Walker, Engen, and Brooks come in for National. So Elijah Patterson still not playing either team yet, not back from injuries, been out for a while, but certainly inching closer. Also, Lamar Murray, Jamal's younger brother, out injured as well. Didn't get to see him tonight. Ollie. And tipping around, Brooks. Oh, and that's a good foul. If you're Scott Smith, that's all right, because he was about to get blown by and then an easy lay-in, maybe a highlight reel dunk, and it's a good move to kind of stop that. 3:18 to go. (30-17). National squad in black, Provincial in white. We still don't have the graphics at the front. Yeah, time on the floor, white. I'm trying to get Larry Blunt to come on with me. We'll probably get him after the third quarter. See if he's going to come down the stairs. Try to get him up here. So Provincial squad hanging around. Langley Thomas at that 3. Owen Campbell as well, just off the bench, 3. So this boy's got to keep shooting. And good things will happen. So Larry's going to come. Let's see if he's going to come up. Trying to get him to get up here. Oh, he's going to jump in now. We'll get him for the last couple minutes. Yeah, you want to do the third quarter with me? That's what I was trying to get the third. Yeah, okay, good, sweet. I got him. So we're going to get Larry to come up for the third quarter. (30-18), 30-19 now. Woodward, Campbell, shot clock at 3. Lewis has got to recognize, no one letting him know, and he's fouled. Oh, so bit of a mental error by Brooks because the shot clock was just about to expire and he fouls the shooter unneeded. And Tristan Lewis. Love his hair, old school. It's like 70s. He'd do well in the ABA back in the 70s with a hairstyle like that. 10-point game, Provincial squad hanging around. I think a win for them if they can get to half and it's single digits and then come out in the second half and see what's cooking. Brooks. JC saying, I need some help. No one coming to him. Stuckey to Engen. And then over top of St. Louis, Ollie Engen, that was sweet. Over top of the 7-footer. He kind of suspended and waited for the block to kind of fade away. And one, Tristan Lewis, back the other end. Provincial squad not going away tonight. Mentioned earlier, you know, we were back up here a couple weeks ago, and these two teams played, and it was about a 40-something point lead at half. It was ugly, and so Provincial squad came to play tonight. And converts. There we go. Down to 9-point lead. 2:30 remains opening half. Engen. Scott Smith, he's been the hot hand for the national squad tonight. Stuckey. And then on cue, Rowan Scott Smith, flames coming off the ball for him tonight. To quote the old NBA Jam, he's on fire. Lewis Short, Scott Smith. And Walker almost lost it. But Zach out there with the pink sneakers. Only real men wear pink. Stuckey, the lefty. Muka, nope. It's Campbell the other way. Campbell, ooh, in and out. That one looked good. 120 remains. Walker thought about it and says, I'll put it up now. Zach Walker. This kid has a range. He's special. You know, I've talked to a bunch of other scouts and some other coaches in the league, and everyone to a man, yo, Zach Walker, that guy's going to be some player. And so the word is getting out. Under a minute left at 50 seconds now, 38-23. Stuckey. And it was trying to draw the foul. St. Louis tips it away, but right to Walker. And Garrick rips that from Zach. And 31 left. I didn't see what the call was. Time on the floor. So remember, just coming up at half, we're going to do the senior night stuff for the EYBL boys. 3 of them. And then back for the second half, and I'll be joined by Larry Blunt for the third quarter. Of course, All-Canadian weekend coming up. Last weekend of March, first weekend of April. Go check out the All-Canadian Instagram. I've been given a little bit of info on it. I don't know the full steez. But yeah, until I've been told to, yeah, go ahead, push it, I'll leave it. I just know the dates. We're going to have all the futures games again. I don't know about the next ones, but I know they're going to do the futures. And, of course, the main game, boys and girls. And I was told we're going to have a junior game, even some of the youngsters. Kids like grade 7 and 8, I believe. It's always fun, you know, doing the BioSteel futures, you know, a bunch of grade 9s and some 10s, and then get to see some of those kids, both on the men's and women's sides, develop over the next couple of years. And turning into really good players. remember doing one of the girls' games and then just threw it to the wrong guy. You know, these kids all practice with each other, and then Stuckey, 2 mental errors. I'll leave it at that. So I didn't see who it was in a Provincial, just tossed it right to Stuckey. Stuckey dribbled over half court and then dribbled it off his foot. There's a reason he doesn't play point guard. Heck of a forward. He ain't much of a point guard. That's what Ollie and Bottomley's out there for. Hand them the ball. So 11 seconds, 10, 9. It's 8, 7. Campbell with it underneath and knocked out by Stuckey. There's 4.1 left on the clock. And you know, it's going to be Provincial ball, it looks like, still. Plenty of time. A little catch and shoot. St. Louis turns around. No good. Afeli. And that'll do it for half. So at the end of one half, Orangeville National in the black jerseys lead for the Provincial squad in the white jerseys, 38-23. I'm Chris McKee. So what I'll do, I got to talk on the microphone. I will leave this microphone on so you can kind of hear me faintly. And then I'm going to be in the background doing the seniors night presentations. Well, fans, welcome to Orangeville Prep Senior Night inside the Athlete Institute Fieldhouse. Tonight we celebrate the high school careers of 3 graduating seniors on your men's Orangeville Prep Academy team. We thank you all for your hard work and dedication on the court and in the classroom. So family members, when your son's name is announced, please join us in center court for a photo. Well, starting off with a 6'5" guard from Wilmington, Delaware, Elijah. Next up, a 6'10" forward from Copenhagen, Denmark, Johan Munch. Get rid of this thing now. It's like, all right. Go. Well, welcome back for the start of the second half. Orangeville National in the black jerseys, Provincial in the white. National squad 15-point lead, up 38-23. J.C. Brooks, ball in hand. Rowan Scott Smith, the hot hand, and Ollie Engen wants to catch up. Nice lay-in from Ollie, 40-23. Lewis to Campbell. To Woodward, free throw line, off. Engen attacks and it drops. Try to squeeze through there. All right, just grab that one there and we'll give you a little check 1-2 when you're ready.
Mic check 1-2.
Pull it down a little bit if you can. There we go.
Is this better?
Well, special guest in the house, Larry Blunt. Larry, appreciate you joining us.
Chris, thank you for having me. Always amazing to get this vantage point from up here.
So, Provincial squad hanging around. You know, did this game a couple weeks ago. It was about a 40-point game at half, and, you know, kind of sticking around tonight. Looking good. What do you like from them?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible night all the way around for the academy. Everyone's having an opportunity to celebrate the journeys and the success. Always makes it a lot of fun when the families can enjoy a competitive ball game.
I like you got that Doc Rivers kind of coach voice coming in. It's good. Hey, if Doc can do ESPN, you can do these games, right?
Well, we just need good cough drops and throat lozenges. That way we can keep our, at least people can hear us.
Put it down a bit. There we go. Yeah, it's good to hear you now.
Can we get closed captioning on the radio?
There we go. Yeah.
On the stream.
So Ollie Engen, ball in hand, attacks. And in the lay-in, Ollie Engen. You know, this is a guy, Larry, that I've seen from a youngster and every year get better and better and better. Just talking about the improvement you've seen from just this year from Ollie.
He puts the work in. I mean, his success mirrors his work. There's no real secret to this game. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And to his credit, his work ethic is unparalleled, and he's seeing a lot of the benefits of the fruits of his labor.
Well, it's David Bottomley with the lay-in. We got two guys. Who's that? Tristan Lewis. Who else? It was TJ St. Louis. So the big man, who that's not looking good because we know he had a knee injury last season, wasn't it? And he's coming back and he's kind of limping around. That's not good. It looks like it looks maybe like a Charlie horse he's got there.
Looks like he took a knee to his thigh.
Yeah. They always say big tree fall hard, right? You know.
Oh, absolutely. Well, with the snow on the ground, it may fall a little softer today.
Let's hope, yeah. Well, I was amazed. You know, I was chatting with TJ's dad a couple weeks ago, got to meet him in the gym, and he was like, this was like a day or two after TJ had just turned 16. Unbelievable.
Certainly, man-child. You know, it brings a lot of joy and shows my age. I remember on our first team, we had his brother here, TJ St. Louis, who went over to Canisius and played 4 years of Division I basketball. It's kind of really cool to see it come full circle, and to see him actually wear his brother's number is really, really cool.
Well, Provincial squad trying to hang in this 46-25, 8:05 to go, and then denied Yannifelli. This guy's some kind of athlete.
He is. He's freakish. I think that's the best way to sum it up or sum him up. This is cool, though. It's almost big brothers versus the little brothers, and the little brothers are fighting a little bit, and the big brothers and are being good big brothers and keeping the game competitive, so it's a lot of fun all the way around.
Well, as the shot clock was expiring, and then Bottomley, reckless pass, sniffed out by Cassidy Garrick, and here comes Provincial. So OSBA playoffs coming up in a couple weeks, and this national team squad, and there's corner three, Provincial squad not going away just yet.
Certainly. Corner three, a lot of people make a lot of money that can make those.
Well, speaking of guys that made a lot of money, I mean, you were at Oklahoma State when Cade Cunningham was there. What makes Cade such a special player? And there's Yannifelli for three.
Big time shot by Jan, left wing. Cade was, I was not there when he was there. I actually came in the year that he left.
Oh, okay.
And I think, though, obviously the remnants of him was there, and you go everywhere. I think a lot of people would not know. He was an academic scholar athlete of the year. He had north of a 3.5 GPA. Anyone that was on the campus, the basketball was the last thing that they mentioned. They spoke to his character. And a lot of those things translate. It's a total package, not just a good basketball player, what most people see. Great finish by Ali Inga.
Ollie in there, 51-28, 6:38 to go, third quarter. Chris McKee with Larry Blunt. So EYBL, so what's cooking for you guys for the rest of the year? What's your schedule like?
We have a really busy travel schedule. We'll get out of here Thursday, and we'll head down to South Carolina. And we'll be there to play 3 games that next weekend. I want to say it's the 23rd, 24th, 25th, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we'll actually stay in the U.S. and we'll play 2 games. We have IMG Academy the following week and Montverde Academy.
Number 1 team in the rankings in the U.S., Montverde. Who's their top guy this year? I haven't had a chance to see.
I don't know if they're listening. Knowing Kevin Boyle, I'm sure he's trying to find every advantage that he can. But actually, Cooper Flagg is obviously one of their headliners.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They're loaded. I mean, they have 7. I think their top 8 all have high major offers. I mean, you're going, Liam McNeely is going over to Indiana. They have LSU as Curtis Givens. I mean, they're stacked top to bottom. You can go with their roster. Obviously, Cooper going to Duke. So no off nights, no matter what league you're playing in.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg, I didn't realize he was at Montverde. Yeah, so that's the obviously Duke commit, and a lot of people have him as the number 1 pick in the year following projected in the draft.
Certainly. Being up here in Canada when we had back-to-back number 1s, we would like to get back to those days when Andrew Wiggins, obviously, and Anthony Bennett, you really can you can realize your dreams from this country. So let's figure out a way to get that going again.
No doubt, yeah, absolutely. We're revving it up. We'll see and hear some of these kids, obviously, even with the the national squad commitments and interest starting to heat up as we get closer to the end of the season. Obviously, there's guys that can earn scholarships, OSBA playoffs. We saw a couple here. The kid Prentice that ended up going down to Indiana, Fort Wayne, and he just got hot in that OSBA playoffs and got himself a scholarship.
Certainly. I mean, hats off, first of all, to the national team that plays in the grind session. They were recently invited, and it's not necessarily public, but we'll let our listeners in, or our viewers in, I apologize. They've been invited to play in a national championship of the grind session in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So that's a really great accomplishment based on their efforts. And there will be a ton of coaches there, a lot of exposure opportunities, and it'll be great for them to continue their journey. And as you mentioned, it just takes 1 or 2 games. These guys are improving. It's been a lot of fun to watch their process. Coach Dave Burrow, their head coach, has done a great job of really putting his imprint on the program. So it's been a lot of fun to be a part of all of these young people's journeys.
Well, 30-point lead national squad, and that's Langley Thomas trying to chip away at that. 4:40 to go, third quarter. So the graphics down with the score, so I got to try to repeat time and score a little bit more than I normally would for the people at home to stay in it. J.C. Brooks, for sure. So, Larry, this guy, J.C. Brooks, at the start of the season, I thought, nice player. He's a good mid-major guy. I'm now convinced he could be a high-major talent. For a guy 6'9" that can pass the ball the way he does, it's really special.
It really is. I mean, he's really improved immensely. He's battled a few injuries, and he's just getting healthy. He's a young man that's come in, and he's really fallen in love with the process and working, thanks to guys like Ollie that have brought him to the gym with him. And I'm excited. We all are. We think that JC is what our program stands for, guys that come in where they are and they just continue to improve. So excited to track his development. And, as the transfer portal kind of settles and a lot of people continue to get the guys and figure out who's going where, there'll be a coaching carousel where a lot of college coaches change. I feel very confident that he's going to be one that a lot of coaches will be after when it's all said and done.
And, we just seen that yesterday. It was a Chris Holtman at Ohio State, just replaced, and so there'll be a bunch more names. Who was it? Stubblefield down at DePaul lost his job a couple weeks ago, and so expect more names. And then on cue, J.C. Brooks. Announcers jinxed him in the first half, and then this one, right on cue.
Certainly. When you're at his size and you can dribble, pass, and shoot, that always adds value. And he must have been listening to us talk up here.
So 3 minutes to go, third quarter, 65-30. Campbell leaves it for Langley Thomas. I like this kid. He's like shot out of a cannon. And then there's the announcer's jinx.
Yeah. Well, shooting out of the cannon, sometimes maybe that one may have been how that one was shot. But these young guys, this is a great experience for them to be able to play on this stage against older guys. And, you know, these guys' day will come. It's great anytime you get a chance to play against guys that are older, good friends. And at the end of the evening, it'll be a lot of fun in the dorms when these guys get to get over there and they laugh and joke about the results of the game. It'll be really cool.
Well, I was so excited to find out when you were coming back, and there's Arjun Bardwaj. You know, when we got news, you came in obviously late, and so it's almost like I understand the work in progress. But, you know, I was telling the story during the first game. I was, when Zach Edey was home a couple weeks ago, that Purdue, Clemson, and TCU and Bama, I was chatting with the recruiting coordinator for Clemson, Coach McKay, and I said, hey, you know, I do the play-by-play for Orangeville Prep, and he said, Larry Blunt, that's my guy. So your name certainly holds a lot of weight with a lot of these coaches, and I think some of these players are going to be able to benefit from that over the next year or two.
That's really kind. Lucas is a really good friend of mine. He's an incredible basketball coach, great father. And, you know, when we came back up, he was one of the people that reached out. I actually saw Zach recruiting myself in July. And I actually told him, he had no idea at that point who I was, but I just told him if we were here when you were coming through, we wouldn't have let you leave this country. And we shared a laugh on that, but he's a lot of credit to his success. The guys at Purdue have done a great job with his development, and I'm so thankful to be back at a place that my family and I that holds so much value, and my family and I really love.
Yeah, it was chat. Well, I get to know you know, Vidal Messiah.
Sure.
So it's weird. We're both out in Pickering. You know, Vidal runs the Cali Prep, and there's a St. Louis sports bar that I go to. I go watch my hoops, and then I got to chat with this guy, and so Vidal him and I have become buddies over the past year. We're always chatting hoops, and he was telling me he was involved with getting Zach down to IMG, and he was saying nobody wanted this kid, and that was kind of it was surprising.
Well, most big guys take longer to develop. You know, TJ St. Louis is another example. I mean, he's a man-child, as you mentioned. He's still a baby. And, you know, guys like Zach, when you're at that size, you have feet that big, you have limbs that long, it takes a while. And the guys at IMG, they did a great job with him. Vidal did a great job with helping to mentor him and having the vision of where he would be. And I also will mention that St. Louis Bar and Grill. I've spent a lot of time when I lived on the East Coast, so on the east side. I lived in actually in Ajax, so I would frequent that one as well.
There we go, yeah. I wish you were still out there. It'd be good bumping into you out there, chat some good hoops.
Absolutely. Well, when I was there 11 years ago, they only showed hockey. So now you can catch a basketball game.
It's me and Vidal saying, and you know, you go there enough, you get to know the bartenders. You say, hey, because I'm team late night. You know, like even tonight, I'll probably go in 10:30. You get the West Coast games, and Vi's just finishing up with his practice, and he usually comes in around the same time and shoot the breach. Yeah.
Please tell Coach Vi that we said hello.
I will do.
You see Coach.
So, you know, going back to Zach Edey, you know, I did the play-by-play for the BioSteel Futures game when Zach was 14-15. Deer on skates, I always say. You know, you talk about growing. He was nowhere near growing into his body. And then I remember being down in Georgia for a soccer camp for my son at Mercer University and turning on the TV, watching IMG Academy and going, oh, there's Zach Edey, and seeing him at night and day. And you're like, oh, my God, I couldn't believe what he'd grown into.
Certainly. Well, that's the beauty. I mean, you know, when you think about the journey of these young people, and one of the things that really excited my family and I about being back, I remember when Kyle Alexander was very similar. And he was 6'8", 6'9" when he got here, and he could stand up and stand on his tippy toes and grab the rim. But I'll never forget the very first day of practice, we drew up a play on the old grease board, and we say, Kyle, you're going to take the ball and hand it off on the right wing. Kyle went and took it, put it under his arms, and he walked over to the right wing and gave it to the guy. And, you know, fast forward 8 years later, I mean, he's playing or 6 years later, he's playing in the NBA. And that's really cool with guys like Zach to kind of see their journey. And you saw them from the beginning when they were gangly. And, and that's the beauty of this, is seeing guys continue to go from where they are to where they will be.
Well, we just had Roman Henry hit a 3 for Provincial, and then Evan Wooters back the other way for National. 70-35, 19 seconds to go, third quarter. Campbell, Henry again, back to back. Henry feeling it.
Lefty strokes are always really beautiful strokes.
5 seconds left. Zach Walker, 3, 2, and almost. Well, at the end of 3, it's 70-38. Chris McKee with Larry Blunt. Well, Larry, thanks. Are you sticking around for the fourth, or you got something to do?
If I can hang out with you for a few minutes, I'll
cool.
enjoy
Let's
it.
do it, yeah. I'll be honest, games like that, that's why I need the help. You know what I mean? It's
Certainly, no. This is invaluable experience. I mean, to keep it in perspective, for both teams, this is amazing for these older guys to get a chance to play, and even some of the guys deeper in their bench. And it's also invaluable for guys like Zach Walker, who's on the junior team as well. And you can go through everyone on the Provincial team. I mean, virtually they're juniors. And for them to get this opportunity to play and on this stage against these people, 3 years from now, we might have the next Zach Edey story. And we'll talk about, do we remember when it was a 38-70 ball game? And that's the beauty of this. That's what makes it fun.
Well, that's the reason why I come up here. Even today, a little late getting here. My apologies, getting here late for you. A 3-hour drive, the snow. Even I took the 407, which is the toll highway, so I was paying to get here.
Wow.
And I was even doing 40 on the 407. Normally, you do 160 on there, so it didn't even help me make up much time jumping on that 407. But coming up here and just seeing the specials, seeing the kids, that's the whole reason why I drive up. I've been offered to go do, I'm being like paid gigs at the OCAA and the OUA. But there's never been a single guy go to the NBA from here.
Sure.
Whereas we've had 5, 6, 7 coming through, and then another 40, 50, 60 playing NCAA. And so that is, that experience is just so much more valuable than, doing something like that. There's nothing I love sitting in a bar like St. Louis, watching on the TV and March Madness going, I know that kid, and that's a buzz.
You have to pull your iPhone out and get photos in these infant years.
I got them. So, yeah, I got my Lou Dort pictures
there
and
we go.
my O'Shea Brissett ones. They're still stored.
Those are two great young men, and, it's
my Iggy Brzdikis, I know Iggy well. And
Iggy's over in Lithuania playing really well.
Making good money. He's making over €1 million a year now. That's people don't understand that. Hey, you can make good cash over in Europe. Doesn't have to be, because if he's playing the NBA, he's probably league minimum, a couple $100,000. So I think he's making more over there.
Certainly. Well, dinner, I know one thing. I don't want to count his chips or his pesos or his euros, I should say. But I know one thing. Next time he's in town, dinner's going to be on him.
Damn right, yeah.
And the beer may be on him, too.
Yeah. Yeah, those Lithuanian dudes, they get it. Even like you see, Jokic and stuff drinking pints pregame, and then they go out there. And even Luka, I remember seeing a picture of him, and someone's like, oh, pregame, and he had a pint for lunch, and he still goes out and. No, we're not encouraging that, yeah.
Well, as long as you're of age and you can handle it in moderation.
The Europeans, different culture,
Oh, it is. Much more liberal, and they'll live to be 197 years old because they don't overthink a lot of this.
Well, 72-38, 9 minutes to go in the ball game. Chris McKee with Larry Blunt. He's coming in now. Cassidy Garrick. And is that Campbell?
Yes,
Yeah,
Joel Campbell. He's going to be a really good one as well.
What grade is he in right now?
Joel's going to be going to grade 9.
Oh, he's still
a baby.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, going into grade 9.
So he's still just a grade 8 then?
Yes.
Wow.
And these guys will grow up. That's the beauty of it.
And the handle on this kid at that age is just silly.
Yeah, a lot of that is part of the process. These guys, it's amazing. 2 years from now, they'll be like these young people, and we'll be referencing these moments. And can't put a price tag on that.
Hell no.
What a pass.
Nor that. Yanafelli, you talked about being a freak, and that's ridiculous.
I agree. What a catch, but what an even better pass. That pass was on the money.
Well, 74-40, 8:38 to go, fourth quarter.
Otley's another one. I'm really blown away that more schools haven't taken inventory on him. His production has been off the charts. He's led his team to wins. He's been the guy. He's been a coach on the floor, an extension of the staff as a point guard. That's what you want. And I can speak from my experience at the Division I levels. On cue, another assist. I can speak to that. Man, he's a guy that's going to help someone win a lot of games, and he may get someone fired that didn't take opportunity on him. So,
it was funny. I was just chatting with Ollie's mom before, and he was talking about a little frustrated with the lack of it. And I tried to explain, that, a lot of the, especially at a mid-major level, which where, Ollie would probably be fitted, they're looking for 24, 25-year-old point guards, not 19-year-old point guards. So it's one of those almost like stick around longer you can and hope for that opportunity, even whether that's JUCO or whatever it is. I had the same conversation last year with Sean Dakovic with his dad. He was frustrated. I said, go to JUCO, prove, they don't want 19-year-old kids. And then I seen this week, Sean's had like 5 games in a row, 25 points, and things are starting to happen for him. And so sometimes you might need that extra year, especially playing the point guard position.
Certainly. I mean, I can reference the first 3 years here even. We had a lot of success. I think in the first 3 years, I think we had 30 Division I players and 6 NBA players. A lot of those guys didn't sign until April and May. And I think a lot of that is actually really wise. There'll be a coaching carousel, as we mentioned earlier, where a lot of the coaches are moving around. But more importantly, you get a chance to figure out exactly how these rosters settle. And using Ollie as an example, he commits today, and 2 weeks from now they sign Steph Curry. It's going to be hard to play.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, from our guys, patience is a virtue.
Yeah, I won't name the kid, but another kid in the OSBA, and he's committed to a pretty good mid-major program. But I look at the coach, their record is like, at the time when he committed a couple of weeks ago, they're like 3-14. I'm like, I hate to break it to you, that coach ain't going to be there next year, And so then what happens with his offer? And so.
Certainly.
If it was one of the Orangeville kids, I'd say maybe keep an ear open somewhere, but it's not one of our kids, so he's got to sit and stay quiet. So.
Well, our goal is we enjoy helping people. Obviously our guys, we want to look out. We're with them every day, but at the end of the day, if we can have 100 Canadians in college, at least when they play each other, they can swap jerseys, take photos, and that's what it's all about. The better the infrastructure, the more young people we have getting opportunities with this game we love, the better.
I played a little high school basketball in Toronto in the 90s and the TDCAA, the Catholic League. And, we had the only one thing we had, they had that one all-star game a year where we played the guys from Detroit. You remember that? And they put it on TSN in the early, I don't even remember this. It was like, that was the one thing that was kind of the only exposure guys up here would get. And I remember what a big deal when Jamal McGlure committed to Kentucky and seeing the news on City TV. It was like, wow, this is the big thing. And I wrote an article about this a couple of years ago on SB Nation. A lot of people talk about the Vince Carter effect in Canada. The Jamal McGlure effect was equal, because back then it was like, you're Canadian, you might go to Canisius or, Niagara, or none of us went to Kentucky. And that he kind of set the standard of like, no, you can go to Kentucky from here.
Certainly. Well, guys like Mike Meeks, if you switch and you take Mike a few years and you push him a little bit closer to when McGlure was coming through, I just think now guys are getting so much more opportunity. And I wasn't here. A lot of those things are second and third hand information from my experience moving up here. But I remember when we moved up, my family and I to coach the Oshawa Power. As I referenced, like it was a hockey lockout, and I'll never forget sitting in a restaurant trying to get the NCAA tournament on. And they were showing hockey reruns over the NCAA tournament. And I was like, man, I told my wife, we're going to have to move back to the U.S. if we can't find a little March Madness and get one shining moment and all the things. So it's been really cool to hear the stories about guys like Jamal and how they've really impacted in, you take guys that are in the AAU space, Ro Russells, and, you can go through the whole list. It's really cool to reflect on the people that have had the impact on the game that have allowed these young people the opportunities that they're getting.
So 40-point lead, national squad in the black jerseys, Provincial in the white, 6:47 to go. It's Chris McKee with Larry Blunt. So Larry, you were here when Jamal Murray was here, right?
I was blessed to be a part of his journey, and I'm thankful that he allowed us to be a part of it.
So tell me about when, because obviously a guy in Canada, again, Kitchener kid, and then a call comes in or a text from John Calipari, and how many others kind of were in the mix at that time? Was it always just Kentucky?
Yeah, Chris, that was a really neat story. And speaking to that, he wasn't recruited super highly early. To his credit, he worked and he continued to improve. But my one John Calipari story, him and Kenny Brooks came up to recruit Jamal, and it was March, April, late in his recruitment process. And we went to a restaurant, and Cal comes in, private plane. Kenny brings him to the restaurant, 5 or 6 minutes before we're supposed to get together. And Cal was looking around, kind of waiting to figure out if we're going in the back private room. And we're like, no, we just sit in the front of the restaurant. So lo and behold, they pull out the iPad, they're showing the slides, why Kentucky, et cetera. And Kyle is just looking over and I'm looking at Calipari like, man, what's wrong? You have Tourette syndrome or what's going on? And Cal, at the end of that conversation, he said, this is the first time that I've been in a restaurant in public and no one stopped me, asked for an autograph or anything. And I'll never forget that comment, but lo and behold, they did a good job recruiting Jamal, and to Jamal's credit, he had a lot of success there, helped their program, they helped him, and a really, really cool story.
The waitress comes over and Cal's like, no pictures right now. She's like, I'm just giving you the bill, sir.
Well, I just looked to ensure that he tipped well. I want to make sure that he did what he was supposed to do.
Do you remember what restaurant it was?
I probably better not say that, in the interest of sponsorship.
Okay, all right.
But I can say this, if we can find the right sponsors, we'll take all the coaches to those restaurants.
So 84-43, 5:30 remains. I had even Tony McIntyre would tell me some of the stories about Jamal and that, and even with Jamal's dad coming here and having runs with him and how much he pushed him. Can you talk about some of, like, what kind of influence his old man was on him?
Well, I'll say, Tony and Mike George at that point, they were running CIA Bounce. And, obviously Mike went into the agent space. But, I'll say on multiple occasions, I think Roger may be the most competitive Murray in the family. And there's been multiple times where shooting competition turned into shirts coming off, into full-fledged pickup games one-on-one. And I'll reference one time our assistant Keenan Riley, who's a dear friend. I was in his wedding. He was in our wedding. Like like a brother. He was here when we started. And they had a conversation about who was the fastest. We were practicing at NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina. And before we know it, they're both taking shirts off. They're stretching. And we got 5 full-court sprints by Roger and Keenan. And that was one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. But a lot of fun, man. It's those stories are what make this what it is.
No doubt. Wooters from the corner. He's already hit a couple in between some of our conversation. 84-43, 4:50 to go, fourth quarter. National team running away with this seniors night. But we're back up here, Tuesday, I think. We got another game. So it's not the final game of the season, regular season anyway.
Certainly. Basketball never stops. Those shirts are the realest thing ever.
Yeah, errant pass. So what do you do in the summer then? So are you running an AAU team or anything like that? No? What's your plan for the summer once all this is kind of settled down?
My wife would get rid of me if I coached AAU this summer. So unless someone has a really comfortable couch I can sleep on, no, we're going to recruit. That's going to be number one priority going into the summer with our staff. Based on the leagues that we're committed to, we want to continue to add to our talent and supplement it. And we want to have an opportunity to not just compete in the league, but we want to win this league. And that's kind of our goal, is to go out and continue to attract student athletes that want to succeed and be the best version of themselves, both on and off the court.
You guys like yourself and the Tony, of course, following, and you guys laid out the blueprint, and obviously Jesse here, of, hey, this is how you run a prep basketball program. And then you guys it was the gold standard for years. Obviously, we were down coaching the NCAA while we were up here putting these banners up.
Sure.
And then everyone caught up. It's a copycat every sport. Whether it's sport, that's how you do it. So then they all started catching up. And then so that's why I was excited, to hear what you come back. It's like, okay, well, we need a new kind of push to get us back to that level. And so excited to have you back here. So, what's the message to some of these kids, even in the U.S., when you're talking to them about, hey, you should come up to Orangeville?
Certainly. I think this year especially, I think we started a bit behind the 8-ball recruiting. We did not take the job and get here into June. And most of the really good players were spoken for. Credit to a lot of the programs, the Fort Aries, the Royal Crowns, Vi and those guys. You can go through the gamut of it. Those guys have done a great job not only identifying talent but developing it. And what we've had to do is to go global. We have a young man from the U.S. We have Elijah. We have Josh from Australia. We have a young man from Denmark, Johan. And I think that's going to be the model. And until we can continue to let these young guys grow, we're going to have to find a way to bring in guys and kind of shrink the world a little bit. I think Canada has proven that you can be acknowledged here. The competition is even much better. So for us, that's going to be the goal. We're going to have to figure out a way to catch up. Look, I make no excuses. Fort Erie beat us by 52 points. I didn't do a lot of sleeping for 2 or 3 weeks after that. Charles is a good friend of mine, and he's a really good coach. And, we're going to find some ways this summer. I won't be coaching AAU, but we're going to go find us some more guys that continue to build on what we have here.
I love Charles. I got to know him a little bit when he was up here coaching AI. It's so funny between Charles behind that bench and Charles in the hallway or somewhere else. 2 different people almost. He runs hot. And, so it's funny when we're up here, Fort Erie against the Provincial team, and there's Tristan Lewis for 3, 87-46, just over 3 minutes left. But, it was a close game with the Provincial squad, and I could hear Charles laying into his guys, like, through this brick and glass, and it was like, and then those kids came out, and then in a different gear. It was, he lets his players know. And obviously, Fort Erie right now, they're the top dogs. The OSBA championship's running through them this year.
Certainly. I think he was just telling them how much he loved his guys. Yeah, that's all it was. Just a little TLC.
Where do you stand on that? Like, coaching, and there's Jordan Langley Thomas. Obviously, it's not 20 years ago. How have you kind of had to adjust your coaching style? Because you can't get away with some of the stuff you used to do, right?
Certainly. I think we coach them hard and we try to love them harder. I think that's where it starts. But one thing that we really pride ourselves on is giving these young people truth, and truth based on our preparation, being able to put the time in film-wise, and a lot of times, most people, they're too busy watching what you show them to really hear what you're saying. So in that vein, if you can pull up film and show them themselves, a lot of times that, I guess they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but a video is priceless. From us, we try our best to tell the truth and teach, and as positive as we can be, but we just try to pride ourselves on really giving them real feedback that's honest and objective.
Well, I'll give some feedback to Langley Thomas. He was caught in that. He wanted the highlight reel dunk. Let's see if he gets it now. Now this time he goes easy. You could see his mind going, I want that highlight, but I'm not high enough. And then he blew it, and then he went with the simple 2 there.
Well, he just gave away 2 points. He would have an opportunity to have 2 more points that would have been in his box score. They count the same. The only way you get an extra point for really creative dunks is in the dunk contest.
There's a guy that coaches in the English Premier League, Sean Deitch, and I was listening to him on a podcast a couple years ago. It was really fascinating, and he's talked about how he had to evolve his coaching because in the old days, you just screamed, the player told him what to do, and he's like, we figured out. He goes, we have psychologists that come in and psychiatrists, and they do all these tests, and then we figure out some players, I can go to them direct and say, hey, here's the message. Some players don't want that. They want to hear it from an assistant. Then I have the other players, they don't want to hear the message from me or the coaches. I have to pull the team captain and relay information to him that way. And they've got all these psychological tests on their play. Now, keep in mind, they got a bit more money in that English Premier League to afford that.
Sure.
But that's how they figured out, how do we deliver information to our players best based on what their psychological profile is.
That's
crazy.
Really innovative. Mm-hmm. What we try to do is when we can't get through them via voice, we just pull our old cell phones out and shoot them a text. Most of the time, they'll respond really well when they get that text message or the Snapchat.
Carson Hale for 3 there, 96-52. I always, every game, remember the old Raptors games, you get 100, you get a free pizza slice. So every time I'm always still rooting for 100 because somewhere I know I can get a free pizza slice over there.
That sounds like Boston Pizza may need to run in and give us a little quick sponsorship.
Yeah, yes.
Pizza or Pizzaville. I mean, we can figure out a company that may jump on board. I like where your head's at on this.
Well, that was back late 90s when nobody cared about the Raptors. It's like
well, every good trend comes back around. Kids are wearing these big pants again, and everything comes back around.
Yeah. I know I'm seeing that with Justin Bieber and stuff. And there's Joel Campbell with a little jump shot, 96-54, just over a minute left in the ball game. So, Larry, I can't thank you enough for doing this. Really appreciate it. And any plugs you want to squeeze in before any messaging you want to get out before we shut her down here?
No, Chris, I appreciate you having me. Appreciate all that you do for our program and your thumbprint that you've put on it. More than anything, I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the celebration of the young people that have really poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears over the last few months into something that we all love. You know, oftentimes the wins, the losses, you know, those fade, but the memories of your brothers in the dorm and the memories of the trip when, you know, you can pick the stories. Those are the moments that live. So, you know, I just want the viewers to understand and really, you know, celebrate these young people that pour so much into this game.
Well, there's Tristan Lewis gets his highlight reel dunk.
That is awesome. That's going to be on the first play on the highlight reel. That was really nice.
I was joking earlier, Tristan, he would do well in the 70s ABA with that haircut. You know what I mean? It's a timeless style.
I wish he would share some of that hair with me.
Yeah. You know, I can't grow it. That's the thing. I always shave my head. The problem is for me now, the gray's coming in too thick. I look 10 years older, so I have the hair. I just purposely keep it a little shorter because I don't want to look, you know.
I like the distinguished gray. That's distinguished.
The Silver Fox, yeah.
You got to love it. That's a great nickname. You may want to change your Twitter or your social media handle.
Yeah. I think it's taken out there.
Silver Fox 1 on 94.50.
So Orangeville National 96, Provincial 56. Chris McKee with Larry Blunt. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back up here next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate
your time, bud. Safe travel.